Hello, I'm meteorologist Ryan Leach, and this is the weather planning briefing for Thursday, June 19th. Just a few key messages real quick. We're looking at some thunderstorms tomorrow or Friday, depending on when you're watching this. So thunderstorms Friday. Some mountain snow this weekend, especially in northwest Montana. So that's going to be what we're going to spend the most time talking about. And then also some moderate to heavy rain across much of the region this weekend for those lower elevations that won't be picking up the snow. So first off, for some thunderstorms Friday, this is the severe weather outlook. We do have general thunderstorms across pretty much all of central Idaho and western Montana. This darker shade of green covers about a 5% chance, so a marginal risk, a 5% chance of either getting some 60-mile-an-hour winds or 1-inch or larger size hail out of that. So only a 5% chance that we reach that severe thunderstorm criteria, but in general, we should have some potential for thunderstorms and lightning across the entire region. Looking at that for timing-wise, Butte, in terms of areas that are most at risk on this side of the Continental Divide, Butte's probably in kind of the best location to receive some of that. So the timing of that, we're looking at from noon to about 4 p.m. So kind of earlier in the day. I know often we get thunderstorms here more into the evening hours, but with this one, just the timing of that weather system that's coming in and is eventually going to bring some rain and snow to the area. We have a little earlier timing than we would normally, so about noon to 4 p.m., and that would be around the Butte area. All right, moving on. I'm looking at snowfall ranges. It is June, and anytime we get a cutoff low in June that's going to cause some kind of snow, there is just a lot of uncertainty associated with the snow levels and the snow amounts and all that. So here on the left, I have a low end, or about the 10th percentile chance. 10th percentile of what we'd expect for snowfall. And you can see, all across the region on those higher peaks, the Anaconda Pentlayers, and just generally along the Continental Divide, we have some chance for snow. But the most is going to be up here in Glacier Park. So we're looking at, a 90% chance of snow. And as you see on some of these peaks, you can see some of the yellows and stuff. That's getting into the 6-inch snow, 6 inches or more. So if you're really way out there in the backcountry, or planning on being out there in the backcountry in Glacier National Park this weekend, there's a very, very high confidence that you're going to run into a lot of snow. And then a high-end amount, so this is like the 90th percentile, which means there's only about a 10% chance we get this much or more, for much, much wider spread snow. A lot of the area that we see covered here at the lower elevations, if you see some snow down there, it might accumulate in the trees if it's happening at night or early in the morning hours. We've been so warm lately. There's so much heat in the ground. We don't expect to see enough in the way of snow that it would in any way be able to accumulate on the ground at these lower elevations. So this would just be a trace, or maybe you see some snowflakes down at some of these lower elevations. But up in the mountains again, we're looking at more than 18 inches of snow in some places possible in those very remote locations. I would like to draw attention for folks who are looking at visiting Glacier National Park that we are expecting snow at Logan Pass. So if you plan to be going to the Sun Road, it's going to be snowy up there, very likely, and you're going to have some impacts from that. So be alert for any road closures or any impacts that causes in Glacier Park, and just be prepared to take a little extra time. And then, of course, this is the middle of the road forecast. This is kind of what we expect. And so you can see, not any snow really we're not really expecting snow down here in the valleys, but we are, still expecting some snow to line up in the Bitterroots. So you might see a little bit of white in the hills there, and then of course along the Anaconda Pentlayers, maybe a bit up over Lost Trail Pass, and then of course down here in Limhi County, Idaho, and along the Continental Divide in that area. Some potential for see a little bit of white in the hills there. But again, expecting the heaviest snow to be up here in the Glacier Park area, and then also somewhere on the Whitefish Mountains, north of Kalispell and Whitefish. All right, so one more shot of snow, one more talk on snow. This is on the left, we have the probability of 1 inch or more of snow, so you can see pretty high values up there in the mountains, but places like West Glacier and Pole Bridge are only looking at a 2% chance. So again, not really expecting any snow down low, but still, you can see that wide range of coverage of areas that have a pretty decent chance of picking up an inch of snow. And then on the right-hand side, we just have the probability for 6 inches of snow, and still some pretty high values there coming up, up over 80% in some places in the very remote locations up in Glacier National Park and along the Continental Divide in far northwest Montana. All right, so if they're going to get snow in the mountains, what are the rest of us going to get? Rain. Almost all of us. This right here is a low-end 48-hour precipitation forecast, so ending Sunday evening. So this will be Friday night, Saturday night, and most of the day Sunday. And this is a 10th percentile, so there's a 90% chance that locations are going to pick up what's shown in this image. And you can see we're looking at some significant precipitation. 0.8 of an inch up in Kalispell. Over half an inch, 0.6 of an inch in Polson. 4,500ths, almost half an inch here in Missoula. And that's, again, a 90% chance. So this is going to be the most significant rain that we've seen in a long time. Jumping up to the median forecast, so this is, 50% chance we get more, 50% chance we get less. Really significant numbers. Looking at 1 inch here in Missoula for that middle of the road forecast. 1 inch, in or in the areas right around Missoula. That would be a pretty big impact for us. And then of course as you head north from there, the numbers only go up, looking 50-50 shot of getting over or right around 1.5 inches in Kalispell. So those are some pretty big numbers coming in. And then, even more up in the mountains, though, just, as a caution, some of that stuff up in the mountains is going to come down as snow. But still, that's just a lot of moisture, and we definitely need it. And then this is the 90th percentile, or there's only a 10% chance of picking up this much rain or more. And that would be, over 1.5 inches in Missoula, in a little pass, places like that. But just some really astounding numbers up in northwest Montana. Again, this is pretty unlikely. 90% chance we get less than this, but still some really high impact numbers is in the realm of possibility. And that's over 3 inches in places like Whitefish and over 2.5 in Kalispell. Again, I can't emphasize how unlikely this is. I mean, I can, I guess. It's 90% chance that we'll get less than this, but still, it's very unusual for us to have even a remote possibility of picking up this much moisture. So, just be prepared to deal with any drainage issues or things like that. And also, when you see these large numbers, don't be too shocked. This is over a 48-hour period, though most of it will probably, over half of it would probably fall in a 24-hour period if we were to get that much. And again, just to reemphasize, I'm going to go back to the median. This is really what we're expecting up there. Somewhere in that 1 to 2 inch range is really what we are expecting up in northwest Montana, but these higher numbers are possible. All right, so after that soaking, what's going to happen now in the longer term? 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook has us near normal. And this time of year, we're kind of coming out of our peak time of the year for rain, so we would expect that to be dropping off. So near normal precipitation, and expecting above average temperatures out there in that 8 to 14 day period to end the month of June. And that's all I have got for today's briefing. Okay, so the summer solstice will be this Friday. That's tomorrow at the time of recording, but it'll be this Friday about 8:42 p.m. That will be the longest day of the year, and then after that we slowly but surely start to lose some daylight. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at the phone number listed below. Thank you.